feel sorry for Tacoma owners with tire rub. Well, good morning everybody, and how are you today? Pretty good here, and welcome back to the channel. And I really do feel sorry for Tacoma owners with tire rub. Now, what am I talking about? Well, you know, you go out, you decide you're going to replace your stock Tacoma tires with brand new wheels and bigger tires, right? Because it looks awesome, and frankly, you have to do it if you own a Tacoma. But maybe you didn't do enough research, or maybe you had bad advice. You know, you get home and take it for a drive a couple days later, whatever, and maybe you're coming out of a parking lot that has a big dip or something. Ask me how I know. And you feel it, you hear it, you feel it in your steering wheel, you hear that little, you know, and it's like biting down on foil if you have fillings, right? You know, it's kind of shocking, right? And you're like, oh no. It's like the biggest fear, right? At least it was for me. You know, problems after you do something with the truck, either the lift or in this case, the bigger, more aggressive wheels and tires. Now, what I'm talking about, of course, is in the front end. You know, unless you do something really crazy, you're not going to have a problem here in the rear. But in the front, this is where the trouble starts, right? And you're going to notice it right up in here, probably right in this area. Maybe over here in this corner, but right in this area here. And what's going to happen is when you turn this tire, this bigger, heavy, treaded, more aggressive tire, if you don't have enough room, you're going to hit. You're going to hit right in here, and you may hit back in here or all across here really, depending on how bad your problem might be. You can also have issue here in the back, right? Let's shed a little light on it. Right back here in this corner, particularly right down in here. Same thing, when you turn the wheel, you might, if you have too big of a setup or you don't have enough clearance in here, start scraping these edges. Now, I know some of you are going to say, I've never had that problem. It doesn't show or rear its ugly head generally until the truck starts to move around, you know? When you're going in a straight line, there's no problem. Nothing's moving. But when you start to turn those tires and go down into a dip or hit a bump or something more severe in the road, that's when you're going to notice it. It's when I noticed it. Now, there are things that you can do, of course. A lot of people will go in here and move this back, sand this down. I know a lot of people have even taken this inner liner off, right? Just to get rid of that area there where it can rub. In my case, before I put this new lift on, I actually had the problem right here. It was actually rubbing this area, which is part of the front bumper fascia, right here. So I actually sanded this down just a little bit, repainted it, and granted, you can't tell anything's any different there looking at it now. And I left the truck dirty. You guys can see there is a lot of dirt on it right now. And I did that intentionally so you guys can see. If I had any rubbing or anything like that with my setup, it would look something like this. The plastic would be clean in that area, right? Because the tire will have rubbed it off. And you might even have it scuffing through. You know, maybe something like what used to be right there. This is just a little divot from when I had heated it up before. But you would have little tears and things in your inner fender, right? You might even have, and probably would have, scrapes right across here on that front bumper fascia. In the rear, you'd have the same thing. So if we take a look back here, you can see I don't have any clean areas. I don't have anything that's scuffed up or scraped up or anything crazy like that. And that's because I don't have any rubbing there. Now, the other problem you can have, you know, this tread is pretty aggressive. And when you go with a bigger, more aggressive setup, these things really bite in, right? And in severe cases, they can even start to rip this stuff off. I've seen trucks like that. I was actually at a tire shop, I don't know, several weeks ago. I think it was when I had the lift done, actually. And I noticed a truck that had bigger tires on it sitting there. So I went out to look. I was curious. And this whole area, as well as the inner fender on their truck, was all ripped up. Almost shredded at the ends. Kind of frayed, if you will. from where their tire was rubbing. And it was even worse in the rear back here because they just didn't have the clearance. So it's a huge problem, and like I said, nothing worse than if you do that. And I really do feel sorry for people that go out, get the new setup, they're looking forward to a nice aggressive look, a truck that rides and runs perfectly, isn't going to have any kind of issues, and then as soon as they take one of those more aggressive bumps or go off-road with it, that'll really tell you, they discover they have some rubbing. So what can you do about it? Well, I'm assuming most people who go with the bigger setup, or at least one that can potentially cause problems, are going to lift the truck. That's going to help somewhat, but it's not really going to alleviate the whole problem. The idea is, I suppose, and it's kind of what I did, is a combination of the two. Lift the truck and then go with the proper wheel offset to get your tire out away from the truck a little bit so that you don't have any of that issue. Now the other area that you can have problems, and I've experienced both of these, is on the upper control arm right here, the UCA. Now you can see the gap I have here, right? I mean, I can fit my whole hand down there and still have extra room before my knuckles don't even hit. You see in between here? But the problem I had is when I didn't have the proper setup or the proper offset for the wheel, it was closer. I couldn't even fit my fingers down through there. It was probably, maybe half to a quarter inch away from the UCA. That's it. And when the tire would turn and hit a bump, I would hit the UCA. Now I could feel that in the steering wheel. I could also hear it. Have you ever heard rubber sliding against a metal surface? You know, it kind of makes that higher pitch kind of squealy sound. I was getting that, and what a drag that was. Now, I will say there are aftermarket UCAs out there that are more stealthy, if you will. They're a little bit more narrow. It gives you a little bit more clearance between that tire and the UCA itself. That's another way to alleviate it. So you can replace the UCAs with something that are more streamlined, if you will, or go with a different offset on your wheel. Either one of those will take care of the problem and should stop you from having any kind of serious rubbing or any rubbing that's going to cause you issues. Now, the other thing I find interesting about this is when you press people about it, most people, well, I shouldn't say most, a lot of people will tell you that, yeah, they do have a little bit of rubbing, and they just seem to accept it. I don't understand that. I really do feel sorry for Tacoma owners with tire rub. Why should you accept it? You know, you went in, you had the job done. I assume that you talked to somebody who is supposed to be knowledgeable about it, and you shouldn't have to deal with that problem at all. Don't accept it. If you're going in and you're having your truck done, new wheels, tires, a lift, whatever, test it before you leave. There's no way that you should have to put up with any rubbing whatsoever on your Toyota Tacoma. With the setup I have now, I don't have any rubbing. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you have any rubbing? Are you one of those folks who just has to accept it? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, if you haven't before and you're interested, check out my other channel. It's all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator sitting outside right there. That channel is RobMotive JT. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.